Hello. Hello. Welcome to the first of hopefully many more to come Q&A slash AMA sessions with the Art Curious session membership Patreon. Can you tell this is the first time I've done this? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, and I can hear my watch jangling against my bracelet, so I'm gonna take that off. We're gonna let this be awkward and weird. Um, yeah, welcome. So tonight is interesting, and part of the reason I think why I'm a bit jangly and weird and straight up nervous is because yes, this is the first session, and there is nobody signed up for this membership level as of today, as of Monday, July 8th. No one has signed up yet for this membership level. And so I had a choice. I had a choice on my hands. I could not do this, this live session because there's no one to ask questions. So why am I doing a Q&A AMA? There's no one to ask questions. Okay, well then I could make up questions. And I thought about that. And do I go back and forth and pretend like I've been given questions ahead of time? And that didn't feel right. That didn't feel authentic. That didn't feel like who I want to be. So the alternative, the choice I made was to take this opportunity to kind of talk through some stuff, to do kind of a live version of what I would do on the podcast. And I keep staring to see if I've got lipstick on my teeth. So I'm just going to do this behind my hand. If I was about to say, if I get lipstick on my teeth, tell me, but there's nobody here. It's just me and the computer going through this. So I wanted to take this opportunity to talk through some stuff and to really mark this session as the beginning point, as the first step. Because what I want to talk about is something that is so incredibly important for every artist out there. And it is these three words of advice I have for you. And these three words will get you through the hard times and the good times. And they are just keep going. Just keep going. If you have a calling in your heart, if you have a song that you can hear and you know that this is who you need to be, this is who you are, this is what you need to be doing, then you got to just keep going. You got to just keep going. You got to be honest with yourself about the answer to that question because I have met my share of artists along the road in my capacity as a voice coach and artist development. I have met my share of people that I'm like, yeah, would you be happy doing something else? Well, I guess, yeah, I mean, yeah, I could. I have this job. Like, whatever. They had other options. They had other options. And for those people, they usually gently fade away from the artistic path. But for those of us, take a sip of water. If you're watching this, when you're watching this, when I drink with me. Have some water with me. It does the body good. Anyway, oh God, totally lost my train of thought. For those of us that can't do anything else, we have to embody just keep going. I have tried to do other things. I have tried to play normal. I have tried to live a life that was expected of me. And it really just ended up with me feeling bad. And my body getting sick and just rejecting the life I was trying to force upon it. And so now at 45, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it anymore. This is the path I'm on. This is what I know I'm here to do. And I'm going to just keep going. Like this tonight is a perfect, I'm embodying what I try to coach. That's something I hope these sessions will have an element of, these Q&A, AMA, I have to come up with a better name, sessions, that they'll take on a bit of a group coaching thing, that we can use my art and my artistic process and the questions I pose in that process as a jumping off point, but that we can begin to coach each other and help each other through each other's artistic processes in the group. Yeah, so this doing this tonight, I wanted to embody just keep going. I'm not gonna lie. It did suck. It did suck when I realized that I was going to be doing this and there wasn't going to be anybody there. That did suck. Did it feel, was I embarrassed? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Did I feel a little ashamed? Oh yeah. Like all those imposter syndrome things, like everything creeping up, and just, I spent a good couple hours just being like, oh my God, I think I might have failed. And then I realized that this was not the first time I had wanted to do something and nobody had showed up, or I had outright failed. And I just kept going and things got better. I mean, the very first time this really was driven home for me was when I was in grade 8, the 8th grade, getting ready to go to high school. And I auditioned for an arts high school, like the feeder school for the area, sort of like a fame kind of high school where they had singing and dancing and acting and visual arts and music and instruments. And I auditioned for the acting program, and I was dead set on this. Like, I knew I needed to be there. And everybody in my life, like, this small town theater group I was in, my parents, my siblings, like everybody was like, oh yeah, you're getting in for sure. And I really knew in my heart that that was where I needed to be. I knew that was the next step. And I mean, I'm only 13, 14. So, you know, when 13 and 14-year-olds get super passionate about something, you know, that's manifestation, baby. Like they can make it happen. And so I auditioned, and the audition was nothing I'd ever done before. I'd never done theater sports. I'd never done improv. I was like, when did I get to do my monologue? Never got to do a monologue. And a few days later, a couple weeks later, I got a rejection letter in the mail. And the worst part was that when the letter arrived, my whole family gathered around to watch me open this letter because everyone was like ready to be excited for me. And I'm like, yada, da, and we will not be accepting you this. And I lost it. I lost it. I was absolutely devastated. And I think maybe it was a day, maybe 2 days that I was just in that devastation. And then I thought, no, I want this. No, they've made a mistake. And I made my parents call the school, and I demanded to be seen again. I said, I want a call back. Tell them so fucking precocious. It's like, tell them that I had no experience with theater games, that that's not what I thought the audition was, that I have a monologue prepared and I need to have my monologue be seen. Yeah. And so I went in. And the 3 drama teachers were all sitting behind a desk, and they were pissed. I knew right away. I was like, oh, they are mad, because I guess some of the complaints about the audition process had gotten to them. So I walk in the room, and I think also they were that energy of like, well, who the does this girl think she is? 13-year-old girl who failed the audition. And I walked in and I could tell right away that like this is going to be hard. And it fucking was. I had never been directed like that before. They're like, okay, you do your monologue and we're going to shout directions at you and you're going to do them while we yell them at you. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep fucking going. And they did. And they yelled directions at me and I kept going and I tried and I took them on and I have no idea how long it was. It felt like a really long time, but it probably wasn't. I have no idea. I was also 13, so who knows. And then yeah, later that night they called. I called the house and said, okay, she's in. And it was awesome. It was an awesome moment of like, I knew it. I knew they were wrong. Like, yeah. And when I got to the school, it was a few months into the school year where the head of the program took me aside and said, you know what? We just want to let you know that we've added the audition or the monologue portion back in because you're doing really well here. And it kind of scared us that what we were doing, you know, could have turned away students like you. And I was like, well, yeah. And that was just because I kept going. I think it would have been really easy to go, okay, well, they don't want me. I'll just go to the regular high school and see what happens. No, I knew where I wanted to be. And so I just kept going. And that really has helped me over and over again in my life. And that was the thing when I realized that this conversation, this little meeting was going to just be me. I thought, well, no, you're just going to fucking do it. You're going to just keep going because I have a vision in mind that includes this work. And I think it's important for us to be able to talk through and ask questions and have someone who, I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I will always be as honest as I possibly fucking can with the answers I give to your questions. That I will always be as open as I can with where I'm at in space and time and energy in this moment. And sometimes it's going to be like cloud nine, like, wow. And other times it might be in, like I was yesterday going, I don't know if I can do this, like really, I'm not going to show up here in a sour mood. I'm pretty good at rallying and keeping myself going. Yeah, just keeping going. I am an optimist. The glass is half full. You know, when I started working in the music business, I I had some really good connections early on. So the songwriting and the recording process, I met good level people, and was able to do that at a high level. But gigging, performing for crowds, there are no shortcuts to building an audience other than like showing up, singing, showing up, singing. And I did that. I took my guitars back when I could really play, and because I just put the guitar down. It hurt my fingers, and I was like, ugh, there are people who can do this better than I will ever be able to do it. Moving on. But yeah, I did. I played anywhere to people who had no idea who I was, who weren't paying attention. It was just keeping going. You never know. Now, I don't think it's a fire hose approach. I do think now in 2024, I'm talking about the 2000s when I was coming up, when we did not have the internet options that are available to artists today. We did not have Patreon, right? Like back then, yeah, you needed to go to every single club you could go and introduce yourself to every single person you could meet in your big city and just play as much as you could. I mean, I did one gig. I did lots of gigs, but one of them I did next to the cash register at a Chapters, or like, like a bookstore. Here in Canada, there are chapters or lots of bookstores, but this was like a big bookstore. And there were 4 cash registers open, and me and a bass player and a guitar player standing as people checked out their items. And I'm doing my original material. And, I don't think I sold any CDs that day, but it was an opportunity to just keep going, keep honing my craft, right? Because every time we do our thing, if we're intentional about it, if we're not on autopilot, we get better. If you stay present, I'm tangenting here. If you stay present and you have a clear intention on what it is that you're doing, you will get better every time you work on the thing. So when I vocal coached or was a vocal coach, I would say this to my students and the artists I worked with over and over and over again. Just by doing the thing, you're going to get better. So put the I suck out of the room, put the negative thoughts out of the room, because this is a process. Engage in the process and you will move forward fast. These thoughts, the negative thoughts, they serve you no purpose here, because you are automatically getting better every time you do the thing. And I do believe that. And I do believe that is part of just keep going. You're going to get better. You're going to inch forward every single time you go, nope, I'm doing it. Water break. Yeah, I mean, and giving it your all when you do decide to keep going. Like, don't half-ass it, right? I was about to say we get one life, but we get one turn of the wheel that we are cognizant of at this time, but that's a discussion for another day. We are not going to do reincarnation today. We get one turn of this wheel. So give yourself the gift of really being present with yourself and your work. Here, even for me, and I'll say this, 99.9% of the coaching I do with artists, the motivational stuff I talk about, it's because I also need to hear it. It's stuff I might have figured out a week ago, but today I've forgotten. So, well, you know what? I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to recoach it. And yeah, that was something again here tonight. Like, no, stay present. Stay present with your goal, Sarah. Keep your eye on the prize, and let's enjoy this process, right? Let's enjoy the fact that you're just going to keep going. Yeah. I'm just looking at my notes. I made a couple notes. It's one of those things where like I I find that the best stuff often happens when I'm like in that flow state where I have like a trigger thing, like, okay, I have a topic and then I go. This is how I do my podcast. I go with it. I flow with it. I have a couple bullet points. But there are times where like if I'm a little unsure or hmm, or there's a point I really want to make clear, then I'll flesh out my notes. Then I'll really go through. So yeah, I'm going to scan my notes. Scan, scan, scan. I can't talk and scan at the same time, can I? Yeah, I think we'll leave it there. This is a short but sweet one because it's just me here talking to the future yous who will watch this and hear me say on the very first live Q&A, AMA, whatever we end up calling these things, that there's nobody here but me. And I'm okay with that. And I am choosing in this moment to follow through with the commitment I made to myself, I made to this Patreon, regardless of what is happening around me and outside of me, right? Regardless of the mild to moderate embarrassment that happened when I realized, okay, I'm going to be talking to myself. Regardless of the negative thought bubbles that go around in my head. Yeah, I just wanted to come on here and acknowledge this moment and say, no matter what, if you feel called, if you have a vision for it, if it feels like it's meant to be, just keep going. You'll get there. Just keep going.